All right, guys, so we got some big updates on two Baltimore Ravens free agent pass rushers that helped the Ravens lead the NFL in sacks last year and get to an AFC championship between Jadeveon Clowney and Kyle Van Noy. We also got a list of official draft visits that the Ravens have conducted at the Combine, top 30 private visits, as well as an update on Odell Beckham Jr., some other free agent targets for the Ravens, and much more. So welcome in to another episode of Ravens Reports. It's your guy Noah here with For the Flock. As always, bringing you guys our top 5 news reports and storylines coming out of our Baltimore Ravens today. I hope you guys had a fantastic weekend. The draft is getting closer and closer, man. We're about 30 days away from the NFL draft. We got the second and third wave of free agency coming. There's going to be some trades happening around the NFL here soon. So I'm fired up for this offseason that the Ravens are continuing down here. I can't wait to see how the Baltimore Ravens finish building this roster, which we know is a continuous process all the way into September. So let's dive right into the content. At number 1, here's an update on Jadeveon Clowney. Jordan Schultz reports that after Clowney's visits with the Jets, he and the organization have remained in constant contact. One source said that New York is highly motivated to try and secure a deal with Clowney. It's crazy how many players the Jets have tried to acquire from the Baltimore Ravens between Morgan Moses, Clowney, Trenton Simpson, and other guys. But he says, I'm told the Panthers and the Ravens, though, remain interested in him as well after his 9.5 sack season in Baltimore. Man, I don't know about you guys, but that was probably the best football of Jadeveon Clowney's career that he played at age 30. There's no reason to doubt that he can't replicate that type of production this upcoming season. Not only is Clowney a stud against the run, but he was very disruptive as a pass rusher. He was among the NFL's best last year in pass rush win rate, disruption rate, and you got to get after the quarterback in today's NFL, especially the guys in our division, Deshaun Watson, Joe Burrow. Now we got Russell Wilson or Justin Fields, whoever trots out there for Pittsburgh. You want to have a strong pass rush and not be so reliant on blitzing all the time. Out of all the free agents out there, he's my top priority. You know, you got to address this position with at least one veteran player to bolster the room. You got Odafe Owe, who has upside, who's flashes at times, has struggled with injury. You got David Ojabo, who's a wild card. You know, he could turn out to be a great football player, a productive pass rusher, or, you know, it could go the other way where, you know, he's dealt with injuries and it's a big unknown. And then you got Tavius Robinson, the second-year player who showed some good stuff, but you want at least one more veteran player in this room. And here's another veteran guy I want to talk about. Here's an update on Kyle Van Noy, who said, per him, he's the source here, that he has indeed remained in contact with Eric DeCosta about staying here in Baltimore. He was also asked about Baltimore's culture and said that he was surprised of how good the Ravens organization is well ran and gave props to Steve Bisciotti. So I would love to see Kyle Van Noy and Clowney back, but at a minimum, I'd like to see one of those guys back here in black and purple. And before we get into some of the draft visits that have been confirmed, real quick, let me show you some other free agent players out there at the edge position, where if the Ravens aren't able to get a deal done with Clowney or Van Noy, there's some other guys out there. Emmanuel Ogbah, who has had some big-time production and was one of the more productive edge rushers out there for years. He had a scheme change in Miami. He dealt with some injuries and hadn't been as productive the last 2 seasons, but big-time upside, motivated veteran possibility there. I wouldn't mind Ogbah. Rasheem Green, he's still very young and has showed major upside and been productive as a pass rusher. Andrew Van Ginkel, former Miami Dolphin. Mike Dana just won a Super Bowl with the Chiefs. He's on the up and up. He's been consistently getting better and having more production and is trending upwards as well. And then Carl Lawson, when he was healthy with the Bengals and his first year with the Jets, super productive, great pass rusher, dealt with an injury. So you could get a buy low situation there. And remember, Ravens just did that last year with, Ronald Darby, who came off an injury and teams were underappreciating, undervaluing, and then he had one of his best seasons of his career playing excellent football. So the Ravens are able to capitalize on a lot of these players that may be coming off an injury devalued a little bit. You buy a low, and if they don't pan out, hey, you didn't spend a lot of money. If they do, then you got a ton of production, a ton of value for a low price. So Mike Dana, Carl Lawson, Andrew Van Ginkel, Rasheem Green, Emmanuel Ogbah, all guys that could be possibilities here for the Ravens. Let me know in the comments section below your favorite target besides Clowney or Van Noy coming back, obviously. At number 3, let's talk about some of these draft visits that have been confirmed, because there's a pretty common trend among some of these visits. Similar to last year, we looked at the top 30 visits, the positions of need there. Wide receiver. They interviewed a bunch of wide receivers. They ended up taking a wide receiver in the first round. Now let's look at what they did this year so far. Offensive tackle, Jordan Morgan. They had a lunch with him prior to his pro day via Tony Pauline. They also met with Michigan offensive lineman Carson Barnhart before his pro day. And then Patrick Paul out of Houston, the offensive tackle. Offensive tackle Blake Fisher, Troy Fatanu, and Tyler Guyton all had formal combine interviews with the Baltimore Ravens. There's also a couple of defensive linemen, which could be a sneaky under-the-radar type of pick for the Baltimore Ravens early in the draft as well. They've also interviewed wide receiver Keon Coleman, among others, but the common trend I wanted to get at here, and we'll get into more of these interviews as we get closer to the draft, but a lot of offensive tackles on their top 30 visits for private visits, private workouts, and the formal combine interviews as well. A lot of offensive tackles that are projected to go early in the draft. So we're looking at that first and second round range, where the Ravens are interviewing a lot of those players in that range, those caliber of players. So something to keep an eye on. We know the Ravens want to have a strong offensive line. You got to keep Lamar Jackson clean, protect him, because as we know, when he's kept clean, look at the stats from last year. Top 3 passer rating passer, top 3 in QBR, top 3 in pretty much every important quarterback stat when Lamar Jackson's kept clean. It's right there. It's very obvious. We want to keep Lamar Jackson clean, allow him to go through his progressions, get the ball to the playmakers. Zay Flowers, Nelson Aguilar, Rashad Bateman, Mark Andrews. Got to have time to get these guys the football. And we also want to still be able to run the football as well, especially now that we got this guy in purple and black. That's Derrick Henry. And you guys got to look at this real quick. So the last few seasons, the most rushing yards after contact in a season since 2019. 3 of those 4 guys is Derrick Henry. It's absolutely absurd. So in 2020, 1,490 rushing yards after contact. That's absurd. That's more rushing yards than most players have before contact. Then, in 2022, he led the NFL. In 2023, he also led the NFL in yards after contact. And like we said, this is after contact, yards after contact. Then you're going to see him, and I'm just telling you right now, you get Derrick Henry and some of these rushing schemes with Lamar Jackson on the RPOs, the mesh points, the boots. I'm telling you, man, this is going to be very potent. I would not be surprised if Derrick Henry had a 1,500-yard type of season. And I know that they're going to limit some of his carries to keep him fresh because he's 30 years old now. But I'm just saying I think he's going to do more with less. I think we might see one of his highest yards per carry of his career because of the type of scheme that he's going to be in with Todd Monken and Lamar Jackson now. And because remember, the Baltimore Ravens had the number 1 rushing attack in the NFL last year without an elite running back. So then you put an elite running back in, like a Derrick Henry, and I'm just saying it's going to be scary. At number 4, we already know that Odell Beckham Jr. sent a farewell message to the Ravens flock. He said, "I appreciate the flock more than y'all could ever imagine, did everything I could with the opportunities I had." But it's now reported that he and the Miami Dolphins have mutual interest. It would just not be fair for the Dolphins to have Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Odell Beckham Jr. as their top 3 wide receivers, man. But nonetheless, Odell Beckham Jr. leaving in free agency 100% opens up another spot for another veteran, a solid veteran, or an early draft pick to be added to the roster at the wide receiver position. 100% that Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman, Nelson Aguilar, and Tylan Wallace are probably going to be on the roster. So that leaves two other guys to fight for that 5th and 6th spot. I think an early draft pick will be one of those guys, and a veteran will be the other. We know that the Ravens have hosted visits for guys like Josh Reynolds and Michael Gallup as well. So it just remains to be seen if they roll with one of those guys, if they pursue a guy like Tyler Boyd, or if they wait for post-June 1st cuts when some other players start to get released. In the comment section below, let me know how high of a priority wide receiver is for you on your concern list. Do you think we need a number 1, number 2 type of guy? Do you think we need some more veteran depth, number 3, 4 type of guy? Do you think we should add a guy early in the draft? Let me know all of your thoughts in the comment section below. And at number 5, one underrated aspect of the offseason is backup quarterback spot. Tyler Huntley, this happened a few days ago, but we never got a chance to talk about it. Tyler Huntley signed a deal with the Cleveland Browns, man. What is up with the Cleveland Browns coming after our quarterbacks, right? Last year, they almost went on a crazy Joe Flacco run. Flacco won him a bunch of games in the back half of the season after the Deshaun Watson injury. Started a playoff game against the Texans, former Super Bowl champion Joe Flacco for the Cleveland Browns. That's still crazy that happened. But now they're going after our other quarterback, Pro Bowl quarterback, by the way, Tyler Huntley. They signed him to a deal. And it just continues the string of frustrating in-division rivalry signings where the Steelers, they go after Patrick Queen. The Bengals, they go after Geno Stone. The Browns, they go after Tyler Huntley. And there was other guys as well, but backup quarterback gets interesting. The Ravens re-signed Josh Johnson to a deal. They also have Malik Cunningham, the former Louisville quarterback who the Ravens got from the Patriots. The Ravens have a good amount of draft picks this year. If they like a guy maybe in the 5th, 6th, or 7th round, that could be a solid backup quarterback. I'm just saying don't rule out the possibility of the Ravens adding a guy if someone falls later in the rounds that they like to be that next backup quarterback and to add some more competition into that quarterback room. All right, guys, so we're going to have another mock draft coming to you guys soon. So make sure you got your subscribe and notification bell on so you can be updated and notified anytime we upload so you don't miss any mock drafts, breaking news, anything like that. We got you covered here, man. Thank you all for tuning in. Don't forget to hit that like button if you got any value out of today's content. I love you guys, appreciate you guys, and we'll see you in the next video.
When he wasn't looking, he ran me over.